All right, so today we're going to be diving deep into the MEDDIC sales methodology.
Ooh, exciting.
Yeah, think of it like a detective's toolkit.
Okay,
But instead of solving crimes, we're cracking the code of complex B2B sales.
I like that.
Yeah, and we're going to be using an interview with Darius Lahoutifard, the creator of MEDDIC, as was explained in this great blog post by Ari Masudi.
Oh,
And even if you're not in sales, like understanding MEDDIC can be so valuable.
oh yeah.
Because it's all about, figuring out needs and how decisions are made.
Right.
Which, honestly, that's applicable to almost every aspect of life.
Absolutely. And it's kind of fascinating how MEDDIC can be applied even beyond just traditional sales. It's a framework for understanding the psychology behind how people make decisions. And that's valuable no matter what you're doing.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so let's break down this MEDDIC mystery.
Okay.
Starting with the first M, which stands for metrics.
All right.
Now, I know what you're thinking. Metrics, numbers, spreadsheets.
Yeah.
Boring, right? But trust me, this is where it gets interesting.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Okay, good.
Yeah, you're right. They can seem a little dry at first glance.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. They're not just about crunching numbers.
Oh.
They're about understanding what success actually looks like for your company.
Right.
So we're not talking about vague goals here.
Right.
But hard, quantifiable results that directly address their need and their pain point.
So it's not just about saying, hey, our product is awesome.
Right.
It's about proving it with tangible data that resonates with the customer's specific objectives.
Yeah, precisely. Think of it this way.
Okay.
If you're selling software that helps businesses streamline their operation,
Okay.
you wouldn't just say, our software will make you more efficient.
Right.
You would quantify that efficiency by saying something like,
Okay.
our software can reduce your average task completion time by 20%,
Wow.
freeing up 10 hours of employee time per week.
Ooh, that's much more compelling.
Yeah.
It's not just a fluffy promise. It's a concrete, measurable benefit that speaks directly to the customer's bottom line.
Exactly. And that's the power of metrics in the MEDDIC methodology.
Yeah.
They provide a framework for grounding your sales pitch in tangible value,
Right.
demonstrating a deep understanding of your customer's needs and priorities.
All right, so we've nailed down the M for metrics.
Oh.
Let's move on to the E, which stands for economic buyer.
Okay.
Now, this one seems pretty straightforward. It's the person who holds the purse strings, the one who ultimately signs off on the deal.
Yeah, you're on the right track, but there's a subtle nuance here.
Okay.
The economic buyer isn't just anyone with purchasing power.
Right.
It's the individual who stands to gain or lose the most financially from this decision.
Interesting.
So they're the ones whose budget will be directly impacted by the purchase.
So it's not just about finding someone with authority.
Right.
It's about identifying the person with the most significant financial stake in the outcome.
Precisely, it's about pinpointing the individual who feels pain of the problem you're solving most.
Oh, that's a good way to put it.
So for example,
Okay.
if you're selling a cybersecurity solution to a large corporate,
Mm-hmm.
the CIO might have purchasing authority,
Yeah.
but the CEO might be the economic buyer
Oh, interesting.
because a data breach could ultimately cost a job.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's about understanding those layers of responsibility.
Yeah,
Identifying the person with the most to lose, not just the person with the biggest title.
exactly. And identifying that economic buyer is crucial because they're the ones who will ultimately champion your solution
Right.
within the organization.
Yeah.
They're the ones that are going to fight for the budget and resources needed to implement your product or service.
Makes sense. Okay, so now let's tackle the D for decision criteria.
Right.
I'm guessing this is about understanding the factors that will influence the customer's decision-making process.
You're absolutely right. Decision criteria are the specific benchmarks, requirements, or considerations
Okay.
that the customer will use to evaluate yours and compare it to alternatives.
So it's like a checklist of must-haves and nice-to-haves
Right.
that the customer will use to weigh their options.
Exactly. And these criteria can be anything from technical specifications and pricing to integration capabilities and customer support.
Yeah.
The key is to uncover these criteria early in the sales process
Yeah.
and tailor your pitch accordingly.
So instead of just throwing a bunch of features and benefits at the customer
Yeah.
and hoping something sticks,
Right.
you need to actually do your homework, understand what they're looking for.
Precisely. It's about understanding the customer's unique needs and priorities
Right.
and demonstrating how your solution meets those specific requirements.
Okay, I'm starting to see how MEDDIC is like a puzzle.
Yeah.
You need to gather all the pieces and fit them together to create this complete picture. All right, let's move on to the next D, which stands for decision process.
Okay. This element is all about understanding the steps, the stakeholders, and the timelines
Oh.
involved in the customer's decision-making journey.
So it's not just about convincing one person.
Right.
It's about navigating this complex web of internal processes and approvals.
Exactly. Every organization has its own unique way of making decisions.
Yeah.
And it's crucial to understand those nuances
Okay.
You need to know who the key influencers are,
Right.
what their roles are in the decision-making process, and what steps need to be taken to secure their buy-in.
So it's like mapping out a strategic route through the customer's organization, identifying the key checkpoints and potential roadblocks along the way.
Precisely. It's about understanding the internal politic, the power dynamics, and the formal and informal process that will ultimately shape the decision.
All right. I'm feeling like a MEDDIC detective already.
You got it.
Let's move on to the I, which stands for identify pain.
Okay.
Now, I imagine this one is about understanding the customer's problems and challenges.
You're exactly right. Identifying pain is all about uncovering the customer's deepest concerns, their most pressing issues, and the things that keep them up at night.
So it's about going beyond the surface level and really digging into the root causes of their problem.
Precisely. It's about understanding the impact those problems are having on their team and their overall.
So instead of just saying, hey, we can help you with that, it's about demonstrating a deep understanding of their pain and empathizing with their situation.
Exactly. It's about connecting with the customer on an emotional level.
Right.
Showing them that you truly understand their challenges and that you're invested in helping them find a solution.
Okay, we're almost there.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the final C, which stands for champ.
Okay.
Now, I'm curious about this one. Who exactly is a champion in the MEDDIC methodology?
A champion is your internal advocate within the customer's organization. This is someone who believes in your solution, sees its value, and is willing to actively promote it within their company.
So it's like having a secret agent on the inside.
Yes.
Someone who can navigate the internal politics and champion your cause.
Exactly. Champions are invaluable because they can provide you with insights, feedback, and access to key decision makers that you wouldn't have otherwise.
Okay, but how do you even identify a champion within an organization?
It's often about recognizing those individuals who are passionate about solving the problem that you address.
Right.
They might be early adopters of technology, vocal about their needs, or actively seeking solutions in their field.
So it's about spotting those individuals who are not only receptive to your message, but also actively seeking change and improvement.
Precisely. Champions are often those who are frustrated with the status quo and eager to embrace solutions that can make a real difference.
All right, so we've covered all 6 elements of the MEDDIC methodology.
We did it.
Metrics, economic buyer, decision criteria, decision process, identify pain, and champion.
It's a mouthful.
It's quite a comprehensive framework, isn't it?
It is, but the beauty of MEDDIC is that it's not just a theoretical model.
Right.
It's a practical guide to action.
I like that.
So to make this even more concrete, let's imagine you're selling a cutting-edge AI customer service platform to a large e-commerce company.
Okay, cool.
How would you apply MEDDIC in the area?
I like where this is going.
Okay.
Let's say this e-commerce company is grappling with slow customer response times.
Right.
Leading to lost sales and frustrated customers.
Yeah.
It's a classic problem.
It is.
And they're desperate for a solution.
For sure. Okay, so let's put on our MEDDIC hat and see how we can help this e-commerce company.
Right.
Starting with metrics.
Okay.
What kind of numbers would really resonate with them? What would demonstrate the value of your AI platform in a way that like grabs their attention?
Well, since their biggest pain point is slow customer response times, I would focus on metrics that directly address that.
Okay.
For example, we could show them how our platform can reduce average response times by, say, 60%.
Right.
Or how it can increase their first contact resolution rate by 25%.
Right.
You know, those are tangible improvements that they can easily grasp.
Exactly. Those metrics speak directly to their pain and quantify the value you bring.
Right.
Now, who do you envision as the economic buyer in this scenario? It could be a few different people, right?
Right. It could be the CTO.
Okay.
Since we're talking about AI and a sophisticated tech platform. But it could also be the head of customer service.
Right.
Who's likely feeling the heat from those slow response times. Or it could even be the CEO.
Yeah.
Especially if customer churn is a major concern for the company.
You've hit all the key players. It really depends on the company's structure.
Right.
And where the pain is felt most acutely.
Yeah.
To figure that out, you'd need to do some digging.
Right.
Understand their internal hierarchy and priorities.
Okay, so let's say we've identified the economic buyer.
Right.
What about decision criteria?
Okay.
What factors would they likely consider when evaluating our AI platform?
I'd imagine seamless integration with their existing systems would be crucial.
Okay.
They wouldn't want a solution that creates more problems than it solves, right?
Right.
They'd also be concerned about scalability. Can the platform handle their current volume to growth?
Yeah.
Security would be another big one, especially with sensitive customer data involved.
Of course.
And, of course, ease of use for their customer service team is paramount.
Right.
You wouldn't want to introduce a complex system that requires extensive training and creates more headaches.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. It's fascinating how all these elements are interconnected. like identifying the economic buyer helps us understand their priorities.
Right.
Which then informs the decision criteria that they'll use to evaluate our solution.
Absolutely. It's like weaving a tapestry, each thread contributing to the overall picture.
Yeah.
Now let's unravel the decision process. What kind of hoops do you think we'd need to jump through to get this deal approved?
Knowing that it's a large e-commerce company, I'd expect a rigorous procurement process.
Okay.
Possibly with multiple layers of approval. We might need to present to different stakeholders, provide detailed cost-benefit analyses, and maybe even go through a pilot phase to prove the platform's effectiveness.
That's a realistic assessment.
Yeah.
Large organizations often have multi-step processes to mitigate risk and ensure they're making the right decision.
So knowing this, we need to be prepared to address their concerns, demonstrate the value of our solution, and patiently navigate their internal process.
Now let's talk about identify.
Okay.
You mentioned they're struggling with slow customer response times.
Yeah.
How can we leverage that pain point to position our AI platform as the ultimate solution? How do we make them feel like truly get their struggle?
We could highlight how our AI-powered chatbots can handle a huge volume of inquiries instantly, freeing up their human agents to focus on more complex issues.
Yeah.
We could showcase how our platform analyzes customer data to personalize interactions and predict potential issues before they even escalate.
Okay.
We could even quantify the impact on customer satisfaction and loyalty, showing them how our solution can turn frustrated customers into raving fans.
That's a great approach. By directly addressing their pain point and showing them the tangible benefits. You're not just selling them a product, you're offering them relief, peace of mind, and a path to achieving their goal.
Absolutely. And finally, who do you envision as our champion within this e-commerce company?
Okay.
Who's the person we can connect with on a deeper level?
Yeah.
Someone who shares our vision.
Right.
And is excited about the potential of our solution.
I would look for someone who's passionate about improving customer experience. Maybe a forward-thinking team leader in the customer service department who's frustrated with the limitations of their current tools and eager to embrace innovation. Or perhaps a data-driven manager who sees the potential of AI to transform their operations and gain a competitive edge.
Right. We need someone who's not only receptive to new ideas, but also influential within the organization and willing to advocate for our solution.
So we've walked through a hypothetical scenario here and applied each element of MEDDIC to a real-world sales situation. It's like we've pieced together a puzzle, understanding how each component fits into the larger.
I like that a lot.
But why is this approach so valuable? Why should a sales team even bother with MEDDIC? Isn't it just another layer of complexity?
That's a great question. In my experience, using a framework like MEDDIC can actually simplify the sales process. Even if it seems counterintuitive at first. It provides clarity, structure, and a roadmap to navigate complex deals.
I completely agree. MEDDIC brings a systematic approach to what can often feel like a very chaotic and unpredictable process. It's not about replacing creativity and intuition. It's about providing a framework for channeling those qualities effectively.
So it's like having a set of guiding principles that help you stay focused and strategic, even when you're dealing with all these different variables and personalities.
Exactly. MEDDIC helps you ask the right questions. Gather the crucial info. And build a compelling case for you. It removes the guesswork and allows you to approach each opportunity with confidence and precision.
I'm curious, from your experience, what are some of the most significant advantages of using the MEDDIC methodology? Like, what tangible benefits have you seen in your own work and with the teams that you've mentored?
One of the most powerful advantages is the ability to qualify opportunities more effectively by understanding the customer's metrics, their economic buyer, their decision criteria, and their decision process early on. You can quickly assess whether the opportunity is a good fit for your solution and whether it's even worth pursuing.
So it's about being selective and focusing your energy on the deals that have the highest probability of closing, rather than chasing every lead that comes your way.
Precisely. MEDDIC helps you prioritize your efforts and allocate your resource wisely. Another key advantage is improved forecasting accuracy by systematically gathering information and assessing the strength of each opportunity.
Right.
Based on the MEDDIC criteria,
Yeah.
you can generate more reliable sales forecasts.
Okay.
Which benefits everyone from sales managers to finance.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Accurate forecasting is essential for making informed business decisions.
Right.
And setting realistic expectations. But doesn't this level of structure and analysis sometimes stifle creativity and flexibility in the sales process?
Yeah.
Don't salespeople need to be able to adapt and think on their feet?
That's a valid concern, and it's crucial to strike the right balance.
Okay.
MEDDIC is not meant to be a rigid one-size-fits-all approach.
Right.
It's a framework, a set of guiding principles that should be adapted to each unique situation and customer.
So it's not about robotic script reading.
Right.
It's about using MEDDIC as a tool to enhance your understanding, inform your strategy, and guide your interactions with the customer.
Yeah. Exactly. The best salespeople are those who can combine the structure and discipline of MEDDIC with their own creativity, intuition, and relationship building.
Okay, so we've talked about the advantages of MEDDIC.
We have.
Let's shift gears and delve into the practical side of things.
Okay.
How can a sales team actually implement this methodology in their day-to-day operations? Where do they even start?
Yeah.
What are some concrete steps that they can take?
Implementation is, you're absolutely right. The first step is to ensure that everyone on the team understands the MEDDIC framework.
Okay.
It's not enough to just hand them a cheat sheet and say, good luck.
Right.
You need to invest in proper training, provide real-world examples, and create opportunities for practice and feedback.
So it's about making MEDDIC a core part of their sales DNA.
Exactly.
Not just an abstract concept they've heard about in a meeting.
You need to weave it into the fabric of your sales culture.
I like that.
Another crucial step is integrating MEDDIC with your CRM system. This might involve configuring custom fields for each MEDDIC element, making it easy for salespeople to track and update this information for every opportunity.
That's a smart way to ensure that the information is captured systematically and accessible to everyone involved in the sales process. It also keeps the team accountable for gathering the necessary information.
Having a centralized system for tracking MEDDIC data is essential for visibility analysis and continuous improvement.
Okay, so we've trained the team.
Okay.
And integrated MEDDIC into our CRM. What else can we do to ensure successful implementation?
Regular reviews are crucial.
Okay.
Encourage your team to conduct weekly or bi-weekly portfolio reviews, using MEDDIC as a framework to analyze ongoing opportunities, identify potential roadblocks, and develop targeted strategies.
So it's not a set it and forget it kind of thing. You need to constantly evaluate, adjust, and fine-tune your approach based on the specific dynamics of each deal.
Exactly. MEDDIC is a dynamic framework that requires ongoing attention and refinement. It's also important to empower salespeople to use MEDDIC independently, encouraging them to think critically and adapt the methodology to their unique selling style and the specific circumstances of each opportunity.
So it's about finding that balance between structure and autonomy. Providing the framework, but also trusting your team to use their judgment and expertise.
Absolutely. It's about creating a culture of empowerment and accountability where salespeople feel confident using MEDDIC as a tool to drive success.
Now, we've covered the core MEDDIC framework extensively.
We have.
But you mentioned earlier that there's an expanded version that adds extra layers of nuance and insight.
Yes.
Can you tell us more about that?
Absolutely. The original MEDDIC framework focuses on those 6 key elements that we discussed. But some organizations have found it helpful to add additional layers framework, considering other factors that can influence sales process. Think of it as adding specialized lenses to your detective toolkit, allowing you to see the situation from different angles and uncover hidden clues.
Interesting. What kind of specialized lenses are we talking about? What other factors can significantly impact complex B2B sales?
One crucial addition is the concept of tipping point events. Think of these as catalysts that can dramatically shift the landscape of a deal, either propelling it forward or bringing it to screeching halt.
I'm intrigued. Can you give me some real-world examples of what a tipping point event might look like?
Sure.
In a B2B sales scenario.
Absolutely. So imagine you're selling a software solution to a company. And they're kind of on the fence about making a decision. Suddenly, their main competitor announces a major partnership with a tech giant, putting pressure on them to innovate and keep up. That competitor's move could be the tipping point that pushes your prospect to finally sign on the dotted line.
So it's about being aware of external factors that can create a sense sense of urgency or shift the balance of power within the prospect's organization.
Exactly. It could also be something like a change in industry regulations that makes your solution suddenly mandatory for clients.
Interesting.
Or maybe a sudden shift in the economic climate forces companies to prioritize cost-saving measures, making your efficiency-focused product more appealing.
Yeah, so it's about having your finger on the pulse of the industry, understanding the forces at play, and being ready to adapt your strategy based on these external events.
Precisely. Another key factor to consider is competition. This might seem obvious, but it's astonishing how many salespeople focus solely on their own product without truly understanding the competitive landscape. It's like trying to win a race without knowing who you're running against.
So it's not just about highlighting your strength. It's about knowing your competitors' weaknesses and using that knowledge to position yourself strategically.
Exactly. You need to know who else is vying for your prospect. What are their strengths and weaknesses? What are their pricing strategies? How do they differentiate themselves in the market? What are their customers saying about it?
This makes me think of that classic military strategy.
Oh, yeah.
Know your enemy and know yourself, and in 100 battles, you will never be defeated. That applies just as well to the world of sales, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Understanding your competitors allows you to anticipate potential objections, highlight your unique selling propositions more effectively, and tailor your approach to address the prospects.
So we've got tipping point events and competition as two additional layers in this expanded MEDDIC framework. What about the third element you mentioned earlier, other factors? What falls under that umbrella?
Other factors is kind of a catch-all category that encompasses any internal or external elements that could influence the sales process, from internal influencers and decision makers to potential obstacles, enemies, or risks that could derail them.
That sounds pretty broad. Can you give me some specific examples of what might fall under other factors?
Certainly. So internal influencers could be individuals within the prospect's organization who have a strong voice in the decision-making process. Even if they're not the ultimate decision maker, they might be department head subject matter experts or even colleagues who have the ear of the economic buyer.
So it's about understanding the informal power dynamics within the organization. Recognizing that decisions aren't always made solely by the person with the highest title.
Exactly. And then there are potential obstacles. This could be anything from budget constraints and internal resistance to change to logistical challenges and unforeseen technical.
It's about anticipating potential roadblocks and developing strategies to overcome.
Precisely. And of course, there are always risks involved in any complex sale. These risks could range from competitor actions and economic downturns to internal organizational changes and shifts in market demand. It's about being aware of potential risks and developing contingency plans to mitigate their impact.
Wow. It seems like there's a lot to consider.
There is.
With so many factors to juggle, how do you stay organized and make sure you're focusing on the most critical elements?
That's where the MEDDIC shift framework, even in its expanded form, proves its value. It provides a structure for organizing your thoughts, gathering the necessary information, and developing a strategic plan of action. It's like having a mental checklist to guide you through the complexities of a deal.
So even with the expanded version, MEDDIC is still the foundation.
It's the bedrock that helps you make sense of the chaos and navigate the uncertainties of the sales process.
Absolutely. It's the compass that keeps you oriented and prevents you from getting lost in the weeds.
I think we've explored the expanded MEDDIC framework pretty thoroughly.
I think so.
With its additional layers of tipping point events, competition, and other factors. But all this knowledge is only useful if we can translate it into action.
Absolutely.
How does a salesperson actually use all this information to close deals?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is.
And it leads us to the heart of the MEDDIC methodology. The real power lies in its action-oriented approach. It's not about just gathering information. It's about using that information to drive the sales process forward and make things happen.
So it's not about being a passive observer, meticulously collecting data and building this beautiful MEDDIC spreadsheet that just sits on your desktop.
It's about being proactive, strategic, and decisive in your action.
Precisely. Think of it like this. For each dimension of the MEDDIC framework, a salesperson should ask themselves 3 crucial questions. These questions act like a catalyst, transforming insights into actions.
I'm all ears. What are the 3 magic questions that can unlock the power of MEDDIC?
The first question is, what is my level of knowledge on this dimension? This is about about being brutally honest with yourself. Do you truly understand the customer's tricks?
Yeah.
Have you identified the economic buyer with certainty?
Yeah.
Are you clear on their decision criteria?
Okay.
This question forces you to confront any knowledge gaps you might have.
So it's about acknowledging what you know.
Yes.
And more importantly, what you don't know.
Exactly. And once you've identified those knowledge gaps,
Okay.
the next question is, what specific information am I missing on this dimension?
Mm-hmm.
This is about getting granular.
Okay.
What data points do you need to gather? What questions do you need to ask?
Yeah.
Who do you need to talk to?
Okay.
This question helps create a targeted information gathering.
So it's like creating a shopping list of information.
Yeah.
Identifying the specific ingredients you need to complete the recipe for a successful sale.
I like that analogy.
Yeah.
And finally, the most critical question is, what concrete actions should I take to obtain the information I'm missing?
Okay.
This is where the rubber meets the road. It's about turning insight into action,
Yeah.
developing a plan, and
So it's not just about knowing what you need to know. It's about having the discipline and the drive to go out there and get it.
Precisely. Let me give you a concrete example.
Okay.
Let's say you're working on a deal
Mm-hmm.
and you're trying to unravel the decision process.
Okay.
You've identified the key decision makers,
Right.
but you're not entirely clear on the timeline
Yeah.
for each stage of the process.
Okay, I see. So the action step might be to reach out to your main contact within the organization.
Yeah.
Ask for more clarity on the timeline, deadlines, and any potential roadblocks they foresee.
Exactly. Or perhaps you need to schedule a follow-up meeting
Okay.
to delve deeper into their decision criteria.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe you need to do some research on your competitors
Right.
to understand how they're positioning themselves.
Okay.
It's about taking those proactive steps to fill the gaps in your knowledge
Right.
and move the deal forward.
This makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
By applying these 3 questions to each MEDDIC dimension, you create this like laser-focused action plan for every opportunity.
Precisely. And that's what sets MEDDIC apart from other sales methodologies.
Right.
It's not just a theoretical framework.
Yeah.
It's a practical guide to action,
Mm-hmm.
a roadmap to success in the world of B2B.
Well, it's been so fascinating exploring the nuances of MEDDIC with you today.
It has.
It's like we've taken this deep dive into the mind of a master detective,
I like that.
learning how to gather clues, analyze evidence, and crack the code of complex B2B sales.
I've enjoyed our conversation as well. It's always rewarding to share these insights
Yeah.
and see the light bulbs go off when people start to grasp the power of this methodology.
As we wrap up our deep dive into MEDDIC,
Okay.
I'd like to leave our listeners with one final thought-provoking question. How could you apply the MEDDIC framework even outside of a traditional sales contact? Think about situations where you need to persuade someone,
Okay.
influence a decision,
Right.
or simply understand the dynamics of a complex situation.
Yeah,
The principles of MEDDIC are surprisingly universal
they are.
and can be applied to a wide range of scenarios.
That's a great challenge to live our listeners with.
Yeah.
The ability to understand needs, identify pain points, and influence decision-making is valuable in any field.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the MEDDIC methodology.
My pleasure.
We hope you've gained some valuable insights that you can apply to your own professional and personal journey. And remember, there's always more to learn. Keep exploring and diving.